Hey guys, I'm John Stewart. I'm a friend of the IndyCar ministry and a supporter of the IndyCar ministry. And Jason invited me to pick a chapter out of Proverbs and to share it with you. So we're going to do a quick little devotional. I invite you to grab a cup of coffee or grab a Coke and join me for the next 5 minutes. So first off, let me just say that I love the book of Proverbs. It's like this book of wisdom with so many great truths in it. Chapter by chapter, verse by verse, there's just truth. Its author, King Solomon. I mean, he was the wisest, he was the richest guy at the time. And discovering Proverbs is kind of like, I don't know, finding Barry Wanzer or Mike Hull's engineering handbook, or maybe Michael Cannon's Indy 500 setup binder. It's that good. It's just truth. And I invite you to open up Proverbs and just dive in. When I first started, committing to a daily devotional and daily quiet time and reading the Bible every day, somebody told me that the book of Proverbs is a great place to start because there's 31 chapters in Proverbs, and there's usually 31 days in a month. So if it's the 23rd of the month, just wake up in the morning and read Proverbs 23. Or maybe before you go to bed at night, read, if it's the 17th of the month, read Proverbs 17. So, you're going to discover just every single day, just great truth. And why did I choose Proverbs 17? Well, this week I was thinking about some of the big ticket items that we all kind of chase in life. We're all hustling for a bigger house or for a new car or that promotion, or maybe you just came off a fall break and you're pursuing this perfect vacation. There's nothing wrong with ambition, but sometimes in that pursuit of all that more, we miss the best things. Now, I remember a time, a few years ago, where my wife and I were throwing this big dinner party, and everything was perfect. We had a caterer, we had flowers, we had the perfect decor, the works. But right before the party, my wife and I got into a quick, sharp disagreement. And honestly, it was over something really, really silly. And friends, even though we had this perfect decor and all this incredible food, it felt empty. It felt like dust. Because the atmosphere in our own hearts, it was sour. We had this feast, but we had lost our peace. And you're gonna see, this book of Proverbs, it gets right to the point. It cuts through all the nonsense. It's why I chose Proverbs 17 verse 1. And as I mentioned, the writer of Proverbs, King Solomon, he saw it all. He had it all. He had all the gold. He had all the palaces. He had all the power. We would say that he had the whole enchilada. But what did he conclude? Well, he wrote right there in Proverbs chapter 17, verse 1, "Better a dry crust with peace and quiet than a house full of feasting with strife." Think about that. Better a dry crust with peace and quiet than a house full of feasting with strife. You see, the world tells us that happiness is about the size of the pie, but God's wisdom, it says that happiness is about the peace that's around the table. It's about, this dry crust, this simple meal, the quiet heart that's unburdened by conflict. And let's be honest, haven't we all, had a lavish meal? Maybe it's a holiday dinner, maybe it was a corporate event or in your hospitality, where the food's incredible, but the tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Maybe somebody was nursing an old grudge. Maybe two people weren't speaking around the table. You have all the silver and the crystal, but you didn't have the spirit. And Solomon, he's issuing a gentle but profound challenge here. He's asking, what are you willing to trade your peace for? Are we so obsessed with having a luxurious life that we allow our inner life, our home life, our soul life to be a complete battlefield? A dry crust is a humble offering. It's simple. It requires no effort, no show, no pretense. Peace and quiet, the scripture says, are the key ingredients. Not the prime rib, not the fancy Caymus wine or imported wine. Just good old-fashioned quiet rest in our spirit. So if you're carrying a heavy feud today, if you're sacrificing your tranquility for something that doesn't ultimately even matter, just stop. Put it down. Take up this dry crust. Choose the quiet heart. Now, the chapter also gives us another gem. And this is a powerful truth that comes, it ties right into the peace that we're talking about. Because once we choose peace, joy often follows behind. So look a few verses down to Proverbs 17. Let's look at verse 22. This is one that we should all memorize. A joyful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. Isn't that the truth? We spend so much time focusing on our perfect health and our diet, our exercise, which is all great. But this verse reminds us that there's a spiritual pharmacy inside of us. And the best prescription, it's a joyful heart. Solomon isn't saying that that happy moments are good medicine. He's talking about fundamental, resilient joy. A deep sense of contentment that comes from resting in something bigger than your own circumstances. And when it says a crushed spirit dries up the bones, think about this. When we let bitterness, anxiety, or resentment, settle into us, it doesn't just affect our mood. It starts to affect your vitality, your health. It poisons your outlook. It saps your energy. It makes the whole house feel dark. And it dries up the joy of life, bone by bone. And joy isn't about ignoring problems. It's about choosing your attitude in the middle of those problems. It's the quiet knowledge that even if you're not walking an easy path right now, you're not walking it alone. That deep faith is a source of that good, life-giving medicine. So, my takeaway today, my challenge, it's distilled right from the wisdom of Proverbs 17. Number one, stop chasing strife. Are you arguing over something that is ultimately a feasting issue? Are you really chasing after a non-essential luxury? When what you truly need is the quiet beauty of just this dry crust and this peace. Lay down your sword. Prioritize, peace in your marriage and peace in your friendships, and prioritize peace, especially inside your own head. And, the number two thing is take your medicine. Guard your heart. When the world tries to crush your spirit with worry or disappointment, fight back with faith, kindness, and a good dose of spiritual joy. Choose joy. It's the very best thing you can do for yourself. It's the best thing you can do for your family, your outlook, and really the best thing you can do for your future. So I'm going to close with just peace and joy. They aren't found in a house full of feasting. They're found in a heart full of trust. So God bless each of you, and go make some peace today.